Hey BookTube, welcome back to the History Shelf. I'm your host, Peg. Happy Friday. I am filming on a Friday and I hope to publish this evening. Trying to make some videos for you guys before I go out of town next week. Gonna try to film a couple more and schedule them for next week while I am out of pocket. But this video, I just wanted to cover some new arrivals that didn't make it into my October history preview. Came in a little late, and also some other new, like, finished copies of books that have come in. I will be filming the November new history release preview either this weekend or on Halloween, the day after I get back. So, but you will have your November new history release video coming within a week. So stay tuned for that. But let's start with, it's a small stack, shouldn't be a real long video, which is great because I've got more things I need to film for you guys. So first of all, how are you all doing out there? If you haven't seen my last video, which is an author interview that I am so excited about, please give it a watch, a like, if you will. It is my interview with Amy Hawke, the author of The Judas Effect, How Evangelicals Betrayed Jesus for Power. It is a powerful book. You will definitely have an opinion, and especially if you're a Christian, you really need to read this book. So I'm just going to plug it one more time. I will link the interview in the description box below so you don't have to go search for it. So thank you. Thanks for your support as I try to get that video seen widely. It was a great time. Amy is a lovely, lovely lady, beautiful soul who just has just keen scriptural insight into the time that we're living in as Christians. So please do check that out. All right, so now on to some of these new arrivals. Wow, this is a chunkster of a book. And I think the publisher just went ahead and sent it to me. So thank you, Farrar, Straus and Giroux. And this book came out in the summertime, but I am thrilled to have a copy of this, and which I hope to maybe do a buddy read with someone I have in mind. We just need to make sure that she gets a copy. But this is Baldwin, A Love Story by Nicholas Boggs. Look at this big book. Wow. What a fantastic, gripping, eye-catching cover. This is the first major biography of James Baldwin in 30 years. So let me read you a little bit about this. Arriving at the conclusion of James Baldwin's centenary, Nicholas Boggs' highly anticipated book, the first major biography of Baldwin to be published in 30 years, is also the first to incorporate and transform newly released archival material, including unpublished letters and love poems, original interviews, and never-before-seen photographs, into a moving and revelatory telling of his life, and the first to explore Baldwin's queerness in depth, filling important lacunae in Baldwin's story. Both a biography and a work of narrative nonfiction, this book shows how profoundly Baldwin's personal relationships shaped his life and work, as did the refuge he found in Paris, Switzerland, Corsica, Istanbul, and the south of France. Boggs's ingenious framing explores Baldwin's relationships with four of the men he loved most: his mentor, the Black American painter Buford Delaney; his muse, the Swiss painter Lucien Happersberger; the famed Turkish actor Engin Cesar; and the iconoclastic French artist Joran Kazak. In addition, we meet several women who were essential to his art and survival, from Lorraine Hansberry and Toni Morrison to Arilla Miller, his teacher in Harlem, and the economist Mary Painter, to whom he dedicated his novel Another Country. In the process, we follow Baldwin's travels across the U.S. as he becomes a catalyzing figure in the fight for racial justice during the Civil Rights Movement and beyond. All right. Fascinating. Yeah, this came out in August, folks. So, but thank you for our Strauss and Giroux. I'm more than happy to dig into this. I'm kind of reading a little bit about James Baldwin in the biography that I'm buddy reading, or we put a pause on it, but we're going to start up again in December. I'm buddy reading with Patrice Jones, the biography of Ralph Ellison. And so we're reading a lot about his early friendship with James Baldwin. But this definitely is taking more of a kind of looking at his love life in this respect, and the people who influenced his writing, obviously. So I am very excited. I'm very excited to read this. This is going to be lovely. Oh, what a big, beefy biography as well. Baldwin, A Love Story by Nicholas Boggs from Farrar, Straus, and Giroux. It's out right now. I'm sure you can probably request it at your library or, wherever you choose to buy books. Look for it. All right. This book is quite different. I was tickled to get this just because I think I know someone who's really going to enjoy this. But there's so much history in it. You don't have to be a drinker to just enjoy browsing this book. It's so colorful and just full of fun facts. This is the Whiskey Bible, A Complete Guide to the World's Greatest Spirit by Noah Rothbaum. The subtitle is The History, Secrets, and Lore Behind the Best Scotch, Bourbon, Irish, Rye, Canadian, Japanese, Single Malt, and more. This is put out by Workman Publications. It's a nice, beautiful, naked hardcover. And I am telling you, it's almost like it's color-coded, if you can see that a little bit. And then what happens here is they go into like chapters on Scotch whiskey, right? American whiskey. And look at all these photos of like places where they were brewed. It goes into the history. Gosh, it's nuts. There's the Wild Turkey headquarters there. It gives you branches of hops and herbs. I don't know. Little mini biographies of famous whiskey distillers and how it relates to World War II. I mean, this is fascinating stuff. This is why I'll read these portions. I don't drink whiskey. When I did try it was probably in my 20s, and it just scalded my mouth and my throat, and it's like, ugh. But I would love to read, I'm going to read these little sections here. American Whiskey History Part 1, Rise of an Empire. America's Liquid History. This is great stuff. George Washington, America's first celebrity liquor brand owner. I mean, this is cool. American whiskey landmarks. So anything, I mean, for you whiskey lovers out there, please comment below. I'd like to know how much you're into this. And why do I ask? Do I dare say to one lucky winner, I have a finished copy for you of the Whiskey Bible. So if you want to be entered into a winning, a random drawing for my extra copy of the Whiskey Bible, please let me know. But it is full. Anything you want to know about whiskey, baby. Oh, look at that. It's really cool. It's really cool. So anyway, the Whiskey Bible, that was a new arrival I wanted to tell you about. Yes, I wanted to show you this because I mentioned I was reviewing this for Historical Novels Review for their nonfiction online reviews, and mine will be published, if it's not already, it's going to be published in November 1st or 2nd. But I got a finished, beautiful copy of this book, and I highly recommend it to all who are interested in this topic. And this is Ghosts of Hiroshima by Charles Pellegrino. This is put out by Blackstone Books, and this is their beautiful hardcover edition, which, check this out. It's got the black papers on the end papers, like, wow. And it is, this is chilling stuff. The first person experiences, some of these I've never read before. You have to read it to believe it. Really, you do. I want to say I love this book because it's so dark, but it's really well written. So I really, if you're going to learn about it, you might as well pay to have writing that really captures the emotion and the terror. And Pellegrino does all that. And this is a beautiful. Not only is this a beautiful edition, but again, I can't recommend it enough if you're interested in the decision to drop the bomb, and then in August 1945, and then also just the experience of the Japanese people on the ground who survived it. And I don't know if there's only, I think there's not many left. But Ghosts of Hiroshima, I've got my review coming out soon, and I will be posting that on social media, so you can read my review when that comes out. But I enjoyed it as much as you can for such a dark topic, but it was really haunting and riveting. So Blackstone Books, Ghosts of Hiroshima by Charles Pellegrino. I wanted to show you that finished copy because it is wonderful. All right, and I think they sent me this book because I read and reviewed his other book, didn't I? His name sounds very familiar. Andrew Morton. I felt like I've read something of his recently. Okay, maybe not. Anyway, this book didn't make it into my October history preview just because they sent it to me after I made the video. This book came out on Tuesday, October 21st. And this is from Hanover Square Press. That is Winston and the Windsors: How Churchill Shaped a Royal Dynasty by Andrew Morton, as I said. So, pretty good size. Let me hold this up over here while I read to you about this. From an early age, Winston Churchill was convinced that he was a man of destiny. Today, it seems his premonition was correct. Few figures in British history have been so deeply and consequently involved with the British family as Churchill. While many people in positions of power have advised kings and queens during their reign, Churchill was unique in his role. Winston and the Windsors reveals how he helped shape not only a reign, but an entire royal dynasty. It says Andrew Morton is one of the world's best-known biographers and a leading authority on celebrity. So I think he did a Diana biography, but I never read that. In Winston and the Windsors, he presents a meticulously researched joint biography of Winston Churchill and the House of Windsor. Throughout the course of his career and life, Churchill's connection to the Windsors fluctuated wildly. At times, he was the royal family's trusted confidant. At others, he was their leading antagonist. In exploring the complex dynamic between the two, Morton argues that regardless of whether the attitudes of the royal family were warm or icy towards Churchill, their relationship was central to the 20th century history of the British monarchy. Let me see, I'll read a little bit more. From the Churchill family's intricate relationship with the crown to Winston's initially begrudging but ultimately fruitful partnership with George VI, to his enduring fondness for Queen Elizabeth II, this fascinating narrative biography sheds new light on the ways the crown not only shaped Churchill's career, but how Churchill shepherded the monarchy into the modern era. Readers will recognize how he continues to impact, for better and worse, the politicians and royals of today, from state visits to the Oval Office. Yeah, so this just came out hot off the presses on Tuesday, October 21st. So if you are a Windsor royal family fan, Churchill fan, here's another one to add to the voluminous the voluminous publication stack of books on these two people, two families, two entities, Winston and the Windsors, from Hanover Square Press Books. So yeah, that should be good. I kind of like when they do a dual biography, and this, and I haven't. Oh, what was the last one I read on the Windsors? I know it was really good, and I think it had King George VI in it. But it's been a little bit, so I'd like to go back and get a little bit of a refresher. Yeah, like I look at all these awesome photos in the center. Two sets of inserts, and towards the back again, you have more. There's Winston and Stalin. That's great. So yes, thank you, Hanover Square Press. I wasn't expecting this one. Looking forward to digging into that. Okay, next up. This one's different, and I wanted to highlight it. This one is out now. I think like I said, it missed my October preview, and I think actually it wasn't even in October, or was it, when this book came out? But I've read one of this author's other books, and I'm trying to True Raiders, I think is what it was called, something like that. But this is Brad Ricca, and his new book is Lincoln's Ghost: Houdini's War on Spiritualism and the Dark Conspiracy Against the American Presidency. Wow, that's a mouthful. There's a lot going on in this book. This is from St. Martin's Press. Yeah, what are the other books that he wrote? Mr. Brad Ricca. And I like the end papers here, or look at that. That's kind of trippy. And there's Brad Ricca. Let's see here. Yeah, the other book I read by him was True Raiders. He also wrote Olive the Lionheart, which I do have, I just have not read yet. All right, so what is this book about, you ask? Let me tell you. Okay, this is the incredible... Well, I'm gonna just give you the other bit. During a seance in 1924, Harry Houdini, the greatest entertainer in the world, was cursed by a vengeful spirit who said his days were numbered. Houdini laughed. He believed talking to the dead was impossible. By 1926, Houdini was dead. This is the untold story of the last performance of Houdini, who, inspired by his hero Abraham Lincoln, devotes himself full-time to a personal crusade against spiritualism, the practice of speaking to the dead. In a spellbinding journey across Jazz Age America, haunted by the aftermath of the Great War and a deadly pandemic, Houdini encounters modern-day haunted houses, warlocks, and monsters, and uncovers a shocking conspiracy that stretches all the way to the American presidency and to the house of Houdini itself. In a compelling story alternating between Houdini's dramatic 1926 testimony before Congress and the last otherworldly cases he takes on that lead him there, Lincoln's Ghost is a powerful examination of deception, love, politics, the afterlife, and the very nature of magic. That is fascinating. Oh, I didn't know Abraham Lincoln was Harry Houdini's hero. Bill Rutenberg, did you know that? That is fascinating. We'll see how much Lincoln comes into play here. Definitely big in the title, and obviously in these pictures where they kind of they didn't have Photoshop back then, but superimposed two photos here with Lincoln and Houdini. But yeah, I am intrigued, and I didn't know that Harry Houdini waged a war on spiritualism. So, having read and enjoyed Brad Ricca's True Raiders, I'm thinking this one will be pretty good as well. I know that at times he does use dialogue, like he uses some type of convention where he'll insert dialogue. So he wants to make things kind of read like a novel at times, which I don't always agree with. So, if it's kept to a minimum, then I'm okay with it. But anyway, so there's a little bit of that in here. But besides that, I'm looking forward to checking this one out. Lincoln's Ghost and Harry Houdini. That sounds like a good time. And that's from St. Martin's Press. This one's out right now. I can tell you that much. Let's see. Ooh, another new release from Farrar, Straus and Giroux. And I had read this author's first book, Free, on Book Browse, and I had done a first impressions review of it. And this is Leah Epes, and I hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. Leah Epes' Indignity, A Life Reimagined. This is came out. When did this come out? Well, this is the finished copy. So, and I think I had the. Broke my own rule. This book is coming out November 4th, so actually that should be in my November preview. You know what? I'll just tell you. Yeah, this will be in my in my November new history preview. But I read her first book, Free, and I loved it. And this one is, yeah, and Free, the subtitle of that book was Coming of Age at the End of History. All right, I feel like I've already showed it to you, so I got to tell you about it. I really thought it was already out. My bad. When Leah Epe discovers a photo of her grandmother Lemon honeymooning in the Alps in 1941, posted by a stranger on social media, she is faced with unsettling questions. Let me see. Growing up, she was told all records of her grandmother's youth were destroyed in the early days of communism in Albania. But there, Leman was with her husband, Aslan, glamorous newlyweds celebrating while World War II raged. What follows Epe's discovery is a thrilling reimagining of the past, spanning the vanished world of Ottoman aristocracy, the making of modern Greece and Albania, a global financial crisis, and the horrors of war and the dawn of communism in the Balkans. While investigating the truth about her family, Epe grapples with uncertainty. Who was the real Leman Epe? What made her move to Tirana as a young woman, where she met a socialist who sympathized with the Popular Front, while his father led a collaborationist government? And what prompted her enigmatic smile in the winter of 1941, one of the darkest periods of World War II? And she's referencing this photo right at the very bottom, you see. She's smiling, and yep. By turns epic and intimate, profound and gripping, Indignity shows what it is like to make choices against the tide of history, and reveals the fragility of truth, collective and personal. Through secret police reports on communist spies, court depositions, and Epe's memories of her grandmother, we move between present and past, archive and imagination. With what moral authority do we judge the acts of previous generations? It's a good question. And what do we really know about the people closest to us? Wow. Yeah, this one's going to be a stunner, I think. I'm looking forward to reading this because, like I said, her first book was brilliant. Just really enjoyed it. Yeah, so November 4th from Farrar, Straus and Giroux. That's okay because my November preview stack is going to be an hour-long video. I've got a lot of November history releases, and that's just a fraction, obviously, of all the books that come out that are history related in the month of November, but I feel like I've got a really nice sampling across different eras and mix of genre and memoir and that kind of stuff. And anyway, so Indignity by Leah Epe. This book I'm very excited for. The folks at Avid Reader Press were more than kind to send me a review copy. This came out in September, and I just became aware of it not very long ago. But it kind of follows along with my readings lately, and especially after reading The Judas Effect by Amy Hawke. The interview is linked below in the description box. And I've heard the writer, the author of this book, I've listened to a few podcast interviews about it, and I can't wait to read it. This is John Fugelsang's new book, Separation of Church and Hate. A Sane Person's Guide to Taking Back the Bible from Fundamentalists, Fascists, and Flock-Fleecing Frauds. Avid Reader Press. This is out right now. And he's a comedian, so this guy's really funny. But he has a very interesting upbringing as well. And I think the pup sheet, I don't know if it mentions it or not. In the spirit of George Carlin and Christopher Hitchens, here it is, right here. The son of a former Catholic nun and a Franciscan brother, celebrated Sirius XM host and comedian John Fugelsang delivers a deeply irreverent and biblically correct takedown of far-right Christian hatred. You go, sir, because I'm done with it. I am done with the hatred coming from the mouths of supposed Christians. I'm drawing the line. We are not the same. Whoever you're following right now is not Jesus. All right. Moving on. Separation of church and hate is for believers, atheists, agnostics, and anyone who will ever have to deal with a Christian nationalist. Christian nationalism is a bad thing, and I am a Christian, and I can tell you it's a bad thing. For more than 2 centuries, the United States Constitution has given the right to a society where church and state exist independently, as it should. But Christianity has been hijacked, and this is true, by far-right groups and politicians who seek to impose their narrow views on government to justify oppressive and unequal policies. The extremists who weaponize the Bible for earthly power aren't actually on the side of Jesus. And historically, they never have been. How do we fight back against those acting literally in bad faith? Comedian broadcaster Fugelsang finally offers the answers. In this informative, perspective-shifting book, Fugelsang takes readers through common fundamentalist arguments on abortion, immigration, LGBTQ rights, and more, exposing their hypocrisy and inaccuracy through scripture, common sense, and deeply inappropriate humor. It offers practical tips on how to debate your extremist Christian loved one, coworker, or neighbor on the issues that divide us, using actual scripture from that book they claim to follow. But Fugelsang's message is about more than just taking down hypocrites. It's about fighting for the love, mercy, and service that are supposed to make up the heart of Christianity. Told with Fugelsang's trademark blend of radical honesty, humor, and deep political and religious knowledge, this is the book every American today needs. It's a rallying cry for compassion and clarity for anyone of any faith who's sick of the fundamentalists using religion as a cloaking device for hate. So, yes, this one is on my bedside table. I'm going to be tapping into this either right before I head out on my trip next week or be diving back in when I get back. I leave Monday. I come back Thursday afternoon. So not a super long trip, but for me, it's like, I have to plan all my reading on the road. I've got to pack the right books, like which ones. I've got book reviews due the week I get back, so I've got things I've got to finish reading. And then this is the book I really want to read next. So, telling you, please check out my Amy Hawke interview in the comments section below. Even if you're not a Christian, just listen to what she's just. I thought we had a great discussion. I felt like I was just talking to a friend. So we had some laughs. We had some laughs in there, and we tried to keep it on a note of positive, hope and optimism as we talk through hard things. But anyway, Separation of Church and Hate by John Fugelsang. He's been interviewing with just about every podcast. I don't even know if this man has time for me. but I would love to interview him. He is super funny. So he's a comedian, and the podcast interviews I've seen with him, he's a very funny guy. It would be a riot to have him on the program. Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. And finally, we're going to end on this. This is a reprint, and I wanted to get a copy of this so that I can support this publisher who refused to bow down to Mr. I'm going to sue you if you write anything that I hate or disagree with, Trump, who that's all he does is just sue people. Because they were going to re-release this book. And let's see here. And this came out, yeah, it was on hold because he was like, no, I don't want this coming out. So I'm trying to think when it first came out. But anyway, this is, okay, I'm just going to show it to you. This is from the good folks at Penguin Random House. And as much as this will infuriate me to read it, I mean, I just want to support them. So here you go, guys. Lucky Loser. How Donald Trump Squandered His Father's Fortune and Created the Illusion of Success by Russ Bootner and Suzanne Craig. Let me read the back to you real quick. From the Pulitzer Prize-winning reporters behind the 2018 bombshell New York Times expose of President Trump's finances, an explosive investigation into the history of Donald Trump's wealth, revealing how one of the country's biggest business failures lied his way into the White House. All right, here we go. Feast your unlucky eyes on that guy. Soon after announcing his first campaign for the U.S. presidency, Donald Trump told a national television audience that life, quote, has not been easy for me. It has not been easy for me, end quote. Building on a narrative he had been telling for decades, he spun a hard scrabble fable of how he parlayed a small loan from his father into a multi-billion-dollar business and real estate empire. This feat, he argued, made him singularly qualified to lead the country. Except, none of it was true. As his wealthy father's chosen successor, Trump received the equivalent today of more than $500 million in family money. He collected a second windfall thanks to Mark Burnett, the revolutionary television producer who made Trump a star. In truth, Trump's empire was underwritten and at times saved by the equivalent of more than $1 billion that came his way without any of the business expertise he claimed. Drawing on over 20 years' worth of Trump's confidential tax information, including the tax returns he tried to conceal, alongside business records and interviews with Trump insiders, New York Times investigative reporters Russ Bootner and Suzanne Craig track Trump's financial rise and fall again. A masterpiece of narrative reporting, Lucky Loser is a meticulous examination spanning nearly a century, filled with scoops from Trump Tower, Mar-a-Lago, Atlantic City, and the set of The Apprentice. Here, for the first time, is the definitive true accounting of Trump and his money. What he had, what he lost, and what he has left. And the myth of Trump, the self-made billionaire exposed. So they just came out with this in trade paperback in September, late September. And I had heard about it in the news because he was trying to stop this from coming out in the trade paperback, because I believe it was published in 2024. So in hardcover, but yeah. And you know what? They said we're standing by this book. The reporting is solid. So bye. Anyway, that's why I wanted to grab this, and I wanted you guys to know about it. So there you have it. There are some new arrivals for you for a 35-minute video. Isn't that fantastic? All right, guys. Well, I hope you're having a great Friday afternoon. Like I said, I'm going to be let's see. I'm going to try to record a couple more and schedule those while I'm gone, so you won't miss too much. But in the meantime, please do check out my interview with Amy Hawk. I'm just going to say it again. I was really, really tickled and pleased that she came on and gave of her time to talk with me. It meant a lot. both for this channel and for me personally. So anyway, guys, please take care out there. Be kind, be safe, be well. And thanks for joining me here on the History Shelf. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.